Today we are here to talk about what is microdosing. Here we have a blister pack, a month supply of what we call Night and Day. We're not going to talk about that right away because you probably need to know what microdosing actually is in the first place. So we're going to start by talking about the basics. With all the stress in the world today, you can imagine that a lot of people are looking for a way to fine-tune their program and maybe level up to a different kind of peak performance. Since COVID, it's been really a process of figuring out who we really are, who we really want to be, and where we're really actually going as humanity. I listen to my clients all the time, and I'm hearing deeper and deeper questions, deeper and deeper stress, and also a deeper need for healing. So this is what we are hearing about from microdosing. Microdosing is helping people to actually go next level because it allows them to shift their neurology. What we're talking about with neurology is the habitual patterns that are much like the way water wears into arroyos or into the earth. You know, Michael Pollan talks about it like the tracks that a sled lays down in the snow. But because I'm a Native American person from the Southwest, I talk about the stuff they talk about in my lineage, which is the geography of our culture, the high desert and the way that the rain washes things. So over time in your neurology, these paths are worn and they become habitual. So when that water falls again into those canyons, it's very likely going to go back down the same pathways as it did that were already laid down. Your nervous system is like that. Now, your nervous system is also like this. It is a fractal type of operation, and these fractals are all interconnected. It's all sort of holonomic, electromagnetic, and when we go into the spirit world repeatedly and we have a good oral tradition, we already have knowledge of how all of this works. So my ancestors have been microdosing since the beginning of time. I think the way it was told to me was kind of cute. You know, imagine your foot runners, right? We had runners that went from South America to North America, all through Mesoamerica. There's archaeological evidence now. I guess they didn't believe our oral tradition, but it is a fact, Jack, that we were able to go across the Americas, north, south, east, west, and had commerce. How did they do it? How did those guys run 30 to 100 miles a day? I'm going to give you a hint. It's the topic of this podcast, right? Microdosing. They say that these guys were actually finding little peyote buttons along the pathway and that they would break off pieces and let some dry in their pack or share with friends. And I imagine that Native Americans in different areas of the world were also doing that with mushrooms and with other different substances, depending on what they were working with. So what that does is it plugs you into what I call the force. These neural networks, they have been laid down before you were cognizant of what was going on, before you could consent and say, oh, that sounds like a great idea to carve into my neurology. Let's keep that there forever. No, they gave us a bunch of junk, a bunch of garbage that comes from society. It comes from our parents' trauma. Probably goes all the way back to Genghis Khan if you're European. And for us, who knows? I think our neurology in Native America was slightly better than the modern neurology, and yet we have so many advantages today, I can't decide if I had to decide either one which would be better. So I love both. I love having the traditional Native American cosmology as well as modern research. I've got a ton of books over here that we are eventually going to talk about, every single one of them, on our Finding the Force podcast, where we'll be featuring Jordan Gruber from this microdosing book here. We'll be featuring also Louis Dorian, who's the founder of The Psychedelist. We'll be featuring myself, and I'll be giving you lots of different analogies and shamanic techniques for how to understand how things work, okay? We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to get a lot done. We'll be coming from different points of view each time so that you can use left brain, right brain, spirituality, practicality. We'll be talking about the 4 different keys to you finding force. And the 4 keys are much like tires. See, If even one of those tires is out of balance, it's not going to work the same way. So we would like you to have all four tires in alignment. We'd like you to know what's going on under the hood. And we'd also, before you take off on psychedelic journeys, like to give you a map and compass so that you can put some pins into the map in your inner terrain. I know this may be a lot of information and it's not specific to microdosing, but this is. We need to start planting different seeds into your patterns. We have something called a 28-day habit that's really important. We're going to go into that later. But I have tools and techniques that the modern person can use in order to achieve their goals. So, what is microdosing? It is taking a sub-perceptual dose of a psychedelic. Whole another topic. What is a psychedelic? What is not? In our tradition, ayahuasca is not a psychedelic, and yet it's classified under Schedule 1 as a psychedelic, along with other things, Schedule 1 substances like heroin, crack, cocaine, things that are truly dangerous are on that list, as well as in some states still mushrooms. Thank God it's become legal in New Mexico now, where our church has its headquarters, so that we're able to work with you to do microdosing in a good and sacred way. All right? Microdosing, taking a sub-perceptual dose of a psychedelic in order to change your neurology, in order to change the way these patterns are worn into your neural networks so that you can achieve your true goals in life and not be bogged down by old beliefs or old habits or the past or even our parents' baggage or society's baggage, right? So, How to Change Your Mind, one of my favorite books. Who am I? I am a 20-year practitioner of psychedelics, Native American practices, culture, sweat lodge, pipe ceremony. We're going to go into some of that during our podcast and really break down a lot of things about Native American culture and debunk some of these myths right now about who is and who is not a truly licensed or, I want to say, good idea person to go to, to put it in caveman terms. Oh, good idea, bad idea. I know, it's kind of funny, but truly, like, who is it a good idea to go to? Who is really qualified? If someone doesn't have a lineage or a tradition and they're certifying people, are they even supposed to be really certifying people? Whereas with me, you've got a time-honored tradition through my Pueblo elder, Patricio Dominguez, who I'm still obviously in contact with and love working with, and also studied with for 20 years. And I also do doctoral research right now as I'm completing my PhD. I'm literally a traditionally trained Native American medicine practitioner. We were the doctors of Native America before the conquest. We also have some degrees floating around here. Okay, I'm a student of cross-cultural communications, and I am an expert on pre-Columbian civilizations, which means I carry the actual oral traditions as well as having done all of this research so that I can bring you the very best, because that's what I want for you. Human beings have an opportunity right now to evolve to a different level of consciousness, and I call it finding the force. I've made this into a fun and very vanilla, very accessible program called 4 Keys to the Force. When you get microdosing with us, you get a whole package. And the first time that you come into contact with us and with our church and our lineage, you're going to have the opportunity to get this whole toolkit and to get this whole package that helps to make sure that you're getting what you really want out of life, okay? Because it's not one size fits all. All right. Research and data, I got into that. Time tested, I got into that. I'm doing good. Weekly podcast. We're going to be in your email. Therapists and clinics and holistic health practitioners all across the United States are on our list. We have 20,000 plus viewers on our Substack channel, and it's so exciting to have a chance to work with you. We're going to be training people in an authentic way and giving you a clinical package. So if you're a clinician or you're a coach, you can get a whole package where you get a manual, Your client gets a manual and you get the digital toolkit with it. But if you're just coming to us for microdosing for peak performance or an ayahuasca retreat, you also get that package. It is amazing how much fun it is and how healing it is. And some of the things I love the best about this work is the more native part about it, the music, the celebration together, the sound healing, and all of that stuff. So day and night is specially formulated. Our microdosing is for professionals who need to be able to take a sort of nutraceutical to biohack their neurology, to improve their consciousness, their performance, and their pleasure every single day. You can get the day formula and be able to actually function without worrying about stuff percolating up during your work day, all right? But you're still more plugged into the force and still more able to be at peak performance. The night formula is so that you can relax and you can go within. Because just like we like to rev up the engine in our muscle car and get it going during the day, we need to look at the stars at night and just relax and take in the smells and the sounds and really be in our body, right? Embodied pleasure means that you're resting your nervous system so that you can rev up the engine again the next day, all right? So we have the night formula, which is a little bit stronger. It's very embodied body. It's very introspective. And, it's a great replacement for a cocktail if you're trying to get off the wine and lose a little bit of weight like me, go to the gym a little bit more often. Jordan Gruber also says that microdosing helps him at the gym. We're going to be talking with him. And Louis Dorian, founder of The Psychedelist and an expert in the cannabis field, which makes him a very interesting guy to talk to because he's been around this block with the cannabis industry. Jordan has been around for a long time, and he's been working with James Fadiman, the grandfather of modern microdosing. So we're going to be talking to him and to Louis. Chris, my assistant, my apprentice, and I will be talking each week with you and just giving you fun stuff and activities and things that are useful for you and your clients. All right, so there we go. Now I've talked to you about everything that you need to know. I want to let you know that, of course, there are books on Amazon. How to Journey. This is one of my favorites. We have a digital toolkit that's called The 4 Keys, where you journey to Diamond Island with us. And with or without psychedelics, friends. And this one is 10 interviews that I did with world famous experts, including Maestra Emoto, who did the water crystal work, Fred Allen Wolf, Miguel Ruiz, one of my favorites, and he's a contemporary of my elder, Patricio Dominguez, who is in the spirit molecule DMT, where Joe Rogan first got his start. But while Joe Rogan was pumping iron and smoking DMT, I was in the trenches in the Southwest, working with veterans, people in recovery, helping people who are recent prison releases, helping women who are battered, helping people in the trenches. So I'm here now to bring you the results of all of that hard work. And I hope that it's very helpful because I have done my time and I would really like to get this material into the hands of the leaders so that you guys can do the work of disseminating this and spreading the sparkles of consciousness that we know are our destiny. Okay? Lots of love to you guys. This is Courtni StarHeart, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.